Hello, this week the first topic to talk about is the internet and social media, which I think is a really interesting topic for us to discuss, especially the way that it has changed the PR world and the tasks that we do today. So first, the internet, it is the first medium that really allowed anyone to send messages out. You didn't have to own a broadcast company or own a newspaper to send out that message. So it's the first time that we can send out messages without it actually being filtered through journalists and editors. Now, there are benefits to having it be filtered because of that third party credibility that we've talked about. But also the internet, it has taken our world by storm. It has taken less time to embrace the internet than any other mass medium in history. So some stats, there are 4.5 billion users worldwide. That is a growth of over 1,000%. But still, only 59% of the world's population has access to the internet. So it's kind of hard for us to believe because we live in a country where the internet is everywhere and is dominating almost everything that we do. So it's hard to believe, but it is correct that we still have ways to go before everyone has access to the internet. Also, so we can see that the majority of internet users are in Asia, 50%. A lot of that is just because of the higher population that they have. And North America is only 7.2% when you look at worldwide distribution of internet users. In the US, though, in North America, I'll say, we have a penetration of 88%, where 88% of people have access to the internet, and you can compare that to the world average and then to the rest of the world. So you can see we have a lot more internet penetration in North America than in other parts of the world. So as of 2019, the US had 292 million users of the internet, which is 89% of our population. So it is really the leading trend in public relations. I went to a PR conference here in Detroit. It was an international PR conference, and I believe it was about 2009, 2010. And everything was about social media. And that's when Twitter had just been released. It's the first time I really knew about Twitter. It might have been 2007. I can't remember exactly. But it just opened my eyes to Twitter and how companies can use that, and Facebook. So really, social media and the internet has become the leading trend in PR. It really is the first face of the company that we can expose a company or an organization to all kinds of different audiences in many different ways than we ever could before. So every organization, from the largest corporation to the smallest nonprofit, has a website or should have a website. So there's new rules of engagement now for PR people and for corporations. So the key to change is the user. Now users are looking for information. So they want information. They don't want hype. They want to, they're searching for something and they want to get that answer without having to go through a lot of marketing, sales pitches. So it's all about fragmentation and customization. You should speak to one person at a time and realize that it's not just a broad message anymore, but that you need to be very targeted and specialized in your messages. So it really is about search. Search is the new circulation. In the past, the circulation numbers were what was most important. Everyone always looked about, how many readers did your newspaper or magazine have? Now it's more about search. So it's a conversation now. So it's immediate communication, being engaged with people via social media or on the internet, responding instantly to a crisis, as we've talked about. You can't wait 48 hours to respond. Your company needs to respond. The story's still going to be told. The message is still going to be out there, and your voice needs to be heard. So some advantages. You do, as I've said, you have direct contact with your public without being filtered through the media. Here's a quote from PR Tactics, which is a publication for PR professionals. PR pros can now get messages out without passing them through the filter of editors and journalists. Traditional media gatekeepers have lost their power in today's print and click world. So, and also another advantage is that the media can access details about your company 24/7 from anywhere in the world. So if they're doing a story You can provide them information online through your online press room or whatever it might be that can give them information and help your company, your organization stay in the public eye. Also, the internet tends to have an educated, affluent audience, and that is an important target for many organizations. You can post all kinds of material. You don't have a limit on the amount of time or the amount of space that you have. It is low cost for worldwide distribution. Of course, you have to get people there, but the cost is minimal. So that's why nonprofits and small businesses can use all of these techniques very effectively at a low cost for their companies. And one thing I love is that if you make a mistake, you can update information quickly. So if you have a typo or something that's incorrect, you don't have to reprint the magazine or run a correction. You can edit your article, edit your information, note that it was corrected, and you're all set. Also, there's interactivity, the push-pull concept. People are looking for information. You can push information out there and they're receiving it, they're pulling it in. You can communicate via blogs, social media, and chat rooms, all kinds of interactivity going on the internet. Disadvantages, there are some. You must monitor for negative comments about your organization. Always know what's being said about you. So your friend or your foe could talk about you. You want to make sure and engage with those comments and not just take them down because that appears that you're hiding something. It's not creating engagement. Most of the times, if you do respond to a negative comment in a professional manner, you actually might have a more loyal audience person than if you just take down the message. There are some rogue websites that come up. I've got some posts linked here. One that Walmart employees put up. They're upset with what they're getting paid and how they're being treated. Another one with Ford as well. Also, there are urban legends that have affected companies. So I always, in my media classes, I want everyone to be media literate. I recommend that you check everything through Snopes.com to make sure if it's true or not. But that is also affecting organizations and companies, and they're having to respond to those type of urban legends that are happening. So let's talk about how to use the internet for PR. And I'm just going to touch the surface of all these. We have classes, digital media strategies, that talks about this in much more detail, as well as PR media techniques. So I'm just going to touch a little bit on the surface level of all of these different ways to use the internet. Email, you can send out messages to target audiences. You can send out releases, photos, pitch letters. It really is the fundamental way to communicate now with within an organization and also sometimes to external audiences. I wonder how long this is going to be happening, but it is still the professional way to communicate. I know that younger people many times don't check their email, and we encourage you to always check your email when you are at Rochester University. That's the main way we have of communicating with you. But it is an awesome device. I used to stand for hours at a fax machine sending out press releases. Now I can just do it all on my computer, and I save a lot of time, and I can communicate with reporters and media around the area without having to, use snail mail, which I used to do, or fax things out. Now we send releases and things like that out via email. Then there's websites, of course. This is the first place that people go when they're wanting information about you. It's telling internet users what you do. You can publicize your projects. You can advocate for a different policy issue. And you communicate with the media. There's some online newsrooms. I've got a couple linked here, Ford and Apple, that have good online newsrooms for reporters and media to use. They can go there and get information about the latest vehicle. They can get photos. They can get logos, things like that that will help them when they're reporting a story about your company, their company. And it just is advantageous for reporters as well. So it's providing a good relationship with them as well. Okay, and then social media. This, of course, is using the internet to facilitate conversation, to share opinions, perspectives, experiences, and also just getting people to talk about your organization, who you are. You can review a company. I recently got new glasses, I have them on now, but I went to Weissman Optometrist here in Rochester. I am not exaggerating. I probably tried on 50 different frames. I have another pair that I can still wear that still I can still see and they're still stylish and they're kind of blue and I wanted a different kind of look and so I literally tried on 50 pair and Vicky who works there was so patient with me and made it fun and was very helpful. So what did I do? I shared an excellent review about her and about the company through social media. So that's what we can do as users today. That's very helpful. There are blogs. A lot of companies have blogs, web-based journals. You can update content. Blogs are not dead. Some of my younger students say, oh, they're dead. They're not. A lot of people use them, and you hit a very specialized targeted audience, which can be very beneficial to your organization. Of course, a blog, the posts are presented in reverse chronological order, with the most recent being first, and then it goes backwards. And also, people can comment and engage with you via blogs as well. Companies that publish more than 16 blog posts per month, they get 3.5 times more traffic to their websites than companies that only publish 0 to 4 monthly posts. So 81% of companies, they consider their blogs to be a very important part of their communications tools. And it really is a good way for organizations to interact with audiences. And I've got some links here that you can go look at their blogs, just companies that are doing a really nice job with the way that they blog. And as I said, in other classes, PR media techniques and digital media strategies, we talk more about blogs, how to write them, how to do them, and we analyze some of them as well. Facebook is the most popular social media networking site. As of December, they had almost 2.5 billion monthly active users, and daily it's 1.6 billion. So a lot of organizations are using these. They're establishing a presence on Facebook. They're becoming involved with consumers. And they also can use Facebook as a place for PR materials. They're low key. You can be creative with those sites. Twitter's the second most popular. They have 330 million monthly active users, 145 million daily users. It's another place for marketing and promotional purposes. You want to be very interactive and engaging via Twitter because of the immediacy of that type of tool that we have. Then there's video. YouTube. We think YouTube, but there are places for us to use video. Many websites, traditional websites, are using video, and they're needing people like you. Many of you are interested in editing and producing videos. And this, is a place where you can do that. You can work for companies and organizations that are putting more and more video on their websites and putting them online. It's also a place to re-report stories. So if you have had a story about your organization or company, you can put a link to that media coverage on your website or on your social media. And that's a great benefit. And then, of course, there's YouTube. It is the premier social site for posting. I put my lectures on YouTube because it is easier for me to work with, to embed them into this class. As of 2019, there were 2 billion monthly active users. And YouTube reaches more 18 to 49-year-olds than any cable network. And people spend a lot of time on YouTube. It's 40 minutes per mobile session. So it is a very important, especially if you're trying to reach a younger audience, you need to be on YouTube. So companies post ads, commercials, all the Super Bowl commercials are on YouTube. They put videos on there. They really want to gain a following. And sometimes they hope for that viral marketing, those videos that get shared. So you want your video clips, they can be creative and interesting or just helpful. How to do something, how to a DIY, or how to, do a home project or a repair project and get help on YouTube. Or they can be humorous and they can be viral. So some examples of those that have gone viral was the Pepsi David Beckham kick that they did, and Diet Coke and Mentos. You can watch those. They're really fun. So be sure and follow those links. I'm not going to click on them now, but you can, the slides will always be below the video, so you can go there to click on them, or you can just do a search in YouTube and find those. So next, we're talking about events and promotions. Another kind of fun aspect of PR, a big part of PR is doing events. We have a world filled with meetings and events. They're vital PR tools that gives you that face-to-face interaction where your audience is hearing and you can be involved in all aspects of your organization. So there's a lot of detailed planning and logistics. If you like to plan and organize, be a party planner or something like that, PR might be a good opportunity for you. I have a close friend who is in charge of, she's the event planner and handles all the meetings and all that for Kelly Services. She's got a very busy schedule, but travels a lot and handles meetings for that Fortune 500 company all around the world, and she has a team that works with her from everything from travel, getting everyone there, to picking out the hotels, the conference rooms, to working with IT, to making sure the food is good, all of that. So it's a very detailed type job. Group meetings, you have to consider a number of factors, as I just said, the location, if it's, even if it's just a room in your organization, in your company's building, or if you're going somewhere else, and making sure you have a good location, sending out invites, getting the meeting starting, making sure the technology works, having speakers, is there water, are you having a meal for people? All of those things you have to consider. Also, what kind of facility do you need? Do you need identification? Name tags? Do you need lighting? Do you need to have IT there with projectors and monitors? And what kind of seating do you want to have to facilitate the best conversation? A podium. And a lot of times, speakers have very specific things that they want, and you have to be able to accommodate them and help them be comfortable with whatever kind of setting they want to have. Banquets, this photo made me laugh, so I put it on there. It's Nixon with the Chinese leader at the time. But it's a banquet. It's a big dinner, so it's a big, we all like to eat, and a lot of companies and organizations host dinners. Rochester University has a partnership dinner every year. This year, the special speakers are from the Hometown TV show that's on HGTV, Aaron and I think Ben Napier, and so that's all about what kind of food are you going to have, where you're going to be, who sits at what table, doing the seat assignments. It's very elaborate, a lot of extensive planning. You have to think about all those logistics, and there's a lot of teamwork that's required for that as well. Then there's receptions and cocktail parties. This is where you're really focusing on interaction and providing a good environment for people to network and talk to one another. It's not so much about speeches, but you still want to have a good environment where there's plenty of room and people feel comfortable, maybe some background music, good lighting, just a good environment where people are comfortable. Open houses and plant tours, these have a lot of planning and routing involved in them. You have to handle visitors. If it's like a construction site or something, you have to make sure that they have the safety equipment that they need. You have to train everyone that comes in contact with the visitors. But open houses are a really good PR event, just to show people something new that you have at your facility. A long time ago, when I was doing PR for Macomb Community College, the North Campus was one of my responsibilities, and the University Center there, that's when had first started it, and of course that is supported by a millage. But we would have an open house where all the universities would be there on a Saturday, and I would run a kind of show and tell about this is what you can do here, and parents and people would come in just to find out what colleges they could attend and at the University Center. So that's an example of an open house. And we always made sure that all the universities were there. We had the signage, we had everything unlocked, the temperature was good, that we could run the meeting, the presentation in the auditorium. So there's just a lot involved in it, but they're all a really good way for you to connect with your audience. Then there's conventions. There's the really big conventions that we all hear about, whether it's a political convention or a trade show or something like that. Even more planning and routing of people. You have to be able to handle visitors, where they're going to stay. You're going to be working probably with a lot of different organizations that want to have meetings or, parties, receptions, tours. So a lot of people handle these that are professional managers. They are able to juggle a lot of different events and handle problems that arise, and know who to call for help, that type of thing. So it's all about, timing, the location, um, what people are going to do for recreation after the convention is over. Many of them are coming from out of town and they might want things to do at night or on weekends. All of those things. So there's a lot involved in that. And that's usually, if you're running a convention, you have a lot of people handling it, not just one person. One of my jobs when I worked for a magazine, we held trade shows, conventions, we had speakers there. We had to, we went to Atlanta, had a trade show there and worked in a hotel and worked with their, convention area. So we'd have convention space and space for different speakers, had cocktail parties, all that type of stuff that was happening. And usually there's someone there from the hotel that is your point person, and they're the one who really helps you with a lot of these logistics as well. So trade shows, this is the North American Auto Show, of course. Lots of exhibit booths. There are companies in our area. That's all they do is handle exhibits. There's one right here in Rochester. And they help companies, make their booths and determine what they need, what colors to use, what kind of backing they want, what they should have on their tables. But this is where you have a lot of social interaction. You might attract media and journalists. Might just be demonstrating products directly to potential customers. So trade shows is another aspect that a PR person could be involved in. Some PR people, that's all they do is trade shows. They also, many of them will have a press room. You'll need a media kit for the reporters that are there. And all that media relations work starts before the trade show actually begins. You get in touch with them in advance and let them know you'll be there, and would love to see them and connect with them while you're there. And then promotional events. This is, the Olympics, the Super Bowl, where companies are involved and have promotional ties to these events, and it can really establish your brand identity. It also could be a celebrity appearance. You got to be careful, make sure that the celebrity fits your brand. Someone who can be prominent and maybe attract local news to cover your event. So you really want to brainstorm and make sure that you're careful, that you have the right type of event or the right celebrity, whatever it might be, that it fits your organization. So that's it for this slide. I've got it underneath 30 minutes. So again, that was just a quick look at the internet and events and promotions. Again, in other classes, you'll go into it in much more detail. Thanks.